The first sensation of action is of speech, of articulation, of expression. That sensation that you get from when you speak, when you articulate, when you express, there is a compulsive aspect to that as well, because we are so used to it. When it's needed, it's good, but when it's not needed, we are still expressing ourselves, we are still talking, we are still articulating in the head, in our own thoughts, in our own inner world. When we close our eyes, still that articulation, that thing is going on. Second sensation is the sensation of movement. Movement is, in physical terms, you can understand as the movement of the body. Very simple to understand. Constantly we are identified with the movement of the body. We always want to move. Somehow in a validation that yes, I'm there. Yes, I'm there. When we have to move the body, move the body. When we don't have to move the body, we should be able to just be at rest and let the body be on its own without us having this compulsion of this sensation to move the body. Third sensation is grasping, is wanting to hold on to something. In physical terms, we have the hands for that. In psychological terms, we are constantly wanting to grab hold on to something. We are so compulsive, so insecure that we want to hold on to a thought. We want to hold on to anything that comes across in our mind screen and want to grab onto it. And this happens consciously or unconsciously. And we need to attend to it and see that we are constantly doing that. And somehow we need to learn to take our grip off that as well and not grasp everything that comes our way and just rest without trying to grasp. The last two actions in yoga are described as reproduction and elimination. These are more physical processes, but what you can, for this meditation, interpret them and understand them as, for example, the process of inhalation and exhalation. Reproduction represents when you want to have something, you want to create something, you want to grow more, you want to grow bigger. That psychology is expressed in your actions, where you're constantly striving for growth, you're constantly striving to be more, to be somebody bigger than who you are, to have more of things. If it's expressed in possession, you start collecting more and more things. If it's expressed in achievement, you start to achieve more and more. So that sense of wanting to be more, that is coming out of this sense of reproduction, which also needs to be at rest when it's not needed. And the last is elimination, which in physical sense is whatever comes into the system goes out of the system, and as a part of the breathing process, which is easier to relate to see it as that when you're breathing out, this constant sense of you throwing something out of your system, and whatever you have gathered in, there is a constant exhalation, constant exit of that happening out of your system. These are two very subtle sensations. We won't focus on these two sensations that much as we will focus on the first three, which is to the sense of articulation, the sense of movement, and the sense of grasping in today's meditation. In total, these are the 10 major gross sensations that are constantly taking our attention, that are not allowing us to be in a state of non-doing, that are not allowing us to be in a state where meditation happens on its own. As beautiful as other techniques are where you do meditation, I invite you to allow meditation to happen, to first of all identify these 10 sensations in it, in your own being, and then try to dissociate yourself from each of these 10 sensations and see when you dissociate yourself from each of these 10 sensations, what is left? Is that not a restful space on its own? Is that not a space out of which silence arises naturally on its own? Is that not meditation in itself? See it for yourself, experience it for yourself. As a process, the first pratyahara that we will do, that we'll practice today, is we will go to each of these senses. So this is the structured process that allows us to become aware and conscious of each of these sensations. We'll recognize ourselves in that process, in that sensation, and then we'll withdraw our energy from there and let it be. 90% of that will automatically fall. If 10% of the sensation is still there, if there is a noise from outside, you can't stop that noise. If you don't try to stop that noise, 90% of that, you won't be bothered by that. The rest, 10%, would also gradually go down as you become more and more silent, as you dissociate yourself from each of these senses and sensations.